Hey everyone, the logic of how I thought of the four pattern model. So think of it like this. There's a couple things going on. First of all, I didn't have my needs met after I entered into stage green. And so obviously I kept oscillating between orange and green until I tried to skip green and go into yellow, but that was hard. So things kept on like getting carried about like a hook. I kept moving forward to turquoise and this, but I kept being dragged because basically I never had the needs met. And the reason why you don't really grow or don't really go through the stages, you don't really function as well when you don't go through all the stages because you're actually getting different needs fulfilled. So I didn't, the sex need is a big thing. Intimacy, depending on how you grew up, the sex is, interesting. But I kept realizing, why am I functioning this way? Oh, I'm stuck down there. But am I really stuck down there? So you have to apply. I said to myself, I have to apply the four quadrant system because it's not linear. And some say, oh, when it comes to conscious, you go above models. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. What about stage coral? Yeah, stage coral. I kept realizing, oh, stage coral is tier three, and stage coral is you go above turquoises, but you retain the intelligence, so you have multidimensional takes. And I started to realize that there's a puzzle here. Let's put it together. And I saw that's when I started to realize there must be a pattern with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And eventually I put it together that the Maslow's hierarchy is of four stages that keep repeating over and over again. But I was only able to do it because my needs were never filled, and I didn't want to feel like an idiot for wanting sex my entire all the way up the stages, visions or through whatever, through dreams, saying that about me that I'm in stage orange because I want sex so badly, and then people had simplified takes like, oh, the reason why you want sex is because you're just sort of wrong with you. In turquoise you don't desire sex anymore, and that's BS. Um, and once again, the coral, the people in the coral and are healthy, they know that this is normal. I felt that there was nothing wrong with me, but there's something I could learn. And so instead of saying there's something wrong with me and that's why I crave sex so much, no, it's something I never crave sex. And as I go through other stages, the need for it comes about in different ways. And so coral, again, that's when you really desire it. And then you want intimacy so you can tolerate a lack of it. And it just came together. But it was only because I lacked my psychological needs. And so that's pretty much it. But there's a second part to this. Um, you also advance faster when you don't have your psychological needs because the ego is searching for survival, a way to survive. But basically, when you don't have your needs met, the ego is pushing you to evolve. And there's also another aspect, you want to evolve because you don't want to think about that you don't have your needs. So either it's not spiritual bypassing, because in this case, you're just using your mind to like think creatively on getting somewhere. And because I wasn't able to get a job because I look different, I feel different, I act different, I talk different, I have different egoic frameworks, I just didn't feel I would be able to do it. And I kind of gave up. And there's a reason for that too, because you don't function like other people function. Oh, so my ego kept pushing me forward. Uh, it's different things. It kept pushing me forward. It was trying to survive. It wanted me to survive. It also wanted to evolve. So there is the linear format thing. So basically, if you don't have your needs, you're going to be moving forward. But at the same time, if you do have your needs and you are fixated on spiritual development or any kind of growth, specifically the spiral dynamics model, um, then you'll move up anyways without suffering, without wake up calls, without humbling, simply because there are ways to humble yourself. In certain stages, like masculine stages, that's when you really need it. Because that's when you focus more on yourself and less on God or some kind of interpersonal relationship with some external force or possibility. So selfishness would require people to look inwards. Humility will get you into the next stage for masculine stages, especially if you feel cocky in your stage. And if you don't feel cocky, it may not mean anything, but chances are there's always some version of cockiness in a masculine stage because it's self-centered. It's for survival focus. That's part of the evolutionary process, and that's part of how creation works. I want to survive. But no, you're selfish. There's more complexity, and there's a polarity that allows for creation to take place because that creation, it goes into philosophy, that creation can only take place because of differentiation. And it only takes place because of individualism. So there's a pattern there in creation. Fine. So this is an important video. This is how I discovered it. I discovered it because I was being encouraged. My needs weren't fulfilled, and maybe the ego itself is trying to evolve. Maybe more mishaps happen, so you learn lessons in a particular way. But the mishaps happening is not so clear cut. It's only when you don't have a model for yourself, and it's only when this is before I figured out the model. In the future, people will have what they need. There'll be a more methodical understanding on how to achieve this, how to avoid mental illnesses, how to manage the evolution. So therefore, there won't be such an issue with people not having needs. So this covers that point. And epistemology comes in because stage coral, there's no foundation to truth. When I said abracadabra in a previous video, you're creating as you speak. The creation can only happen when you know about the truth, right? That's something you discover in sage aubergine. But in sage coral, you don't really know this science, so you feel like a magician. But in sage aubergine, you realize why you were a magician. You're a magician because everyone's a magician. Everyone's creating as they speak. It's just they have knowledge for it to solidify in the ego frame, which has a confidence and ability to concretize it as such. And that also permeates through the collective unconscious or the unconscious mind, such that more people can understand what you're teaching or what you learned or what you know.